When you think of the word Vanguard, what comes to mind? Well, if you're in the military, you probably think of an advancing army or naval force. If you're old school like me, then you know that Vanguard was the second best Atari game ever after Pong. Of course, shout out. But if you live in Hampton, Virginia, there's a place that has great craft beer, great spirits, great food, and live music, and they're redefining the term. Welcome to the Vanguard. You must be Randy.
I am. Nice to meet you.
Thanks.
Well, welcome to Vanguard, Virginia's first brew pub and distillery, all in one fantastic building.
Fantastic it is, man. This place looks amazing.
Well, there's a lot more to see. If you want, I'll show you around.
Let's do it.
Cool.
So, Randy, as soon as you walk in this place, the very first thing that catches your eye is this amazing bar, man. Tell me about this.
Well, that was made by a friend of mine. It's all concrete. So she makes these in her shop and then brings them out and sets them in place. That's why you see they're in sections, but a lot of people think that's a natural stone, but that's actually lightweight concrete.
I love the new bricks with the old bricks of the existing structure. It just plays so well.
Right, we tried to keep the character of the building as much as possible and then bring in some nice earth tones and natural products like stone and copper and concrete. Things that you would naturally find in a brewery, but a little bit more upscale than your typical warehouse-style brewery.
Now, of course, this isn't just a brewery. It's a brew pub, so you got some amazing food. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we are a brew pub and distillery. The brew pub is set up as a 200-seat restaurant. So we have dining downstairs, we have dining upstairs, we have it outside on the patio. But we have a really nice menu, 2-page style, with seafood, burgers, sandwiches, your typical pub fare, but a little bit more upscale.
You got some beers here, so tell me about some beers and what should I try out today?
How about a Belgian quad and a snap guns?
Sir. Nice. So this is the menu we're talking about?
This is our menu. This is our beer menu.
Yeah, keeping it very easy
simple,
as far as finding out.
We're one of the few places in downtown Hampton that does wings, and they're phenomenal. We have a few of our dishes that are really unique. We have a short rib grilled cheese sandwich, which is one of the crowd favorites. Our Vanguard burger is very popular. It's short rib and sirloin with white cheddar on top. Our black bean burger, very, very good. You know, the beauty about having a brew pub is anytime we have new beers that we're thinking about, we always come up with new menu items as well to kind of pair them up.
Yeah.
So we cycle through the menu. It rotates about every 3 months. So, you know, we try to bring on some new items.
You gentlemen. Thank
you.
There's some beers. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Tell us what we got here.
Well, you have the Belgian quad. It's our latest. We just put that on tap about 2 days ago. And this is Snap Guns IPA. It's one of our core beers. We have 4 beers that are on tap all the time. Snap Guns IPA, really nice, light, refreshing, less bitter than your typical IPA. That a little bit strong. That's about a 10.5% beer, so you know, pace yourself.
Oh yeah.
And then we have a Kolsch, which is our house beer, along with a red ale and a stout.
Nice. I'm excited to start it.
Cheers.
Oh, that's good, man. That aroma's great too. Amazing. I love it. Well, you've got a great place here. What do you say we see some more of it?
Let's go.
All right.
The Virginia National Guard Armory building was built in 1936 as part of the Work Progress Administration effort after the war to help revitalize local communities, and it housed both the National Guard Armory and served as a community center for the local city. So they've had everything from drill practice for the Guard on a Friday to bands playing on a Saturday night. 2015, the city put the building up for a proposal. They sent out an RFP, a request for proposals from developers to develop this into a brewery or a distillery or some sort of live entertainment venue. I'm a general contractor as well, and Space Makers Inc., we went to the meeting for the proposal as a general contractor to look at turning the building into something for somebody else. We didn't go there as a developer. We had built several breweries in the area, and we're looking at this as a potential construction project rather than a development of our own. We showed up, went to the meetings, came to the site visit, and as it turns out, no one wanted to hire us to do it. We decided to purchase the building ourselves and develop the state's first brew pub and distillery housed in one building. Cashel Beer and Spirits Company, our brand is Cashel, and that was the name I picked because it's a Gaelic term for stone fortress, and being in the National Guard Armory, I felt it was appropriate. So our products that we have available now are Cashel vodka, a Cashel gin, which is very unique. It's more of a summer light gin, and one of the only single malt whiskeys on the market in Virginia that I'm aware of. The design of this building, it was very well situated to turn it into a brewery and a distillery because it had a large open communal space that most taverns or tap rooms desire. Owners desire that large space for people to gather. Most of the building as it sits was restored and just repurposed. For example, on the west end of the building, there were office spaces, and we converted those into 3 private event spaces. On the north and south ends of the building, we have 2 private event spaces. And in the middle, we have an office that we converted to a really unique private bar. So customers can come in. We've had wedding receptions. We've had office meetings. You can rent 1, 2, 3 rooms, or you can rent the whole second floor, which will hold about 450 people. We did a lot of work trying to keep as much of the original windows, doors, the outside features original. We restored all the brick. We matched the brick as best we could, and it's on the National Registry now as a historic building. Well, if you notice, there's 2 different floors here. The gray area is the original balcony. This was the original balcony railing that actually extended all the way across the full length of the building. And then what we did is we extended that out and created the second floor here.
So this came with the building when you first got here,
Right.
and you built all this.
Correct.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, this is impressive, and I'll tell you what I love about this space the most is the community seating. It has that kind of German fest hall feel to it. So it kind of opens it up to, people coming out and making friends just because, you're not sitting with just the group you came with. You could be across from anybody.
That's exactly why we designed it this way, so that it's not really a dining area, it's more of that beer hall style. So we can seat 450 people on the second floor, not seated, but standing. If you notice, we have drink rails all the way around the bar.
Notice it. Yeah.
And then you can actually stand at the drink rail and look down on the brewery as well.
So you can see the brewing process in action on brew days just from up here.
Yeah, sometimes we'll actually be, brewing late if we have a double batch, and there'll be a concert going on, but we'll be working down there, and people watching the concert can watch a concert, or they can watch us down there making beer.
Well, I'll tell you, that's my favorite thing about breweries is the smell in the air, and I noticed that when I walked in today, is that it was a brew day, and it made me feel good about it. And so, I'm not gonna lie, I'm getting a little low on the beer. I'd love to see how it's made.
Yeah, we just made another batch of snap guns today.
All right, well, let's go talk to your brewmaster.
All right, cool.
Welcome back to Untapped. Today we're in Hampton, Virginia at the Vanguard Brewpub and Distillery. And today I'm joined by Todd Emmer, who's the head brewer here. And Todd, I've been enjoying your beer all day, man. It's really good.
Awesome, thank you.
So I started with a Belgian quad, and now I've switched over to the house beer, which is a Kolsch. Tell me about that.
Sure, so we wanted something real light, real refreshing, just beer for everybody. So just have an option for everybody. So it's just nice and refreshing, easy to drink, and it's great to enjoy during a concert.
Absolutely, which you have a lot of here.
Yeah.
Great music venue. So this is one of 4 beers that are always on tap that you can find. Tell me about the other ones.
Other bestseller would be our Snap Guns IPA. Real bright, real citrusy, real refreshing, and brings a little bit of that pine note from the West Coast IPA. Kind of a blend of a bunch of different styles of IPA.
Nice.
Yes.
All right, so what's next?
The next core is our Red Ale. Easy drinking, a lot of caramel, melanoidin notes. So it goes really well with the burger.
That's a word you may not have known yesterday, melons. What does that mean?
It's the char character you get on steaks. It's also a character in a lot of malts.
The more you know. Excellent.
And then our last one to fill out the whole spectrum is our stout. We're going a little bit traditional, a dry Irish stout, but boosting it up a little to Americanize it, make it a little bit bolder.
So these are the 4 beers that you can always find, no matter what time of year they're going to be here. But tell us about some of the other beers that, depending on what season it is, you might have on tap.
Sure. So the first beer you had, the Belgian Quad. I fell in love with beer in Belgium, so I wanted to make a big, nice, boozy sipper of a beer for cold winter nights. We have that aging in bourbon barrels, which the beer will mellow out over time and it'll pick up a lot of caramel, vanilla notes from the barrels. So that should be quite delicious.
Now, speaking of bourbon barrels and bourbon, and let's talk about the distillery side of things, because again, where the magic happens.
Yes.
But I noticed that this is all beer equipment for what I can see. Where's the distillery?
So whiskey starts on the beer side. So we use our brew system to make our distiller's beer for our whiskeys. So right now we have a bourbon and single malt whiskey in the works, but they have to sit in a barrel for at least a year's time. But they all start right here on the brew house.
All right, and so from here, where does it go? Because this is, in case you didn't know, this is the only facility in all of Virginia that houses both a brewery and a distillery. So tell us how that works.
Right, so they're in the same building, but they have to be separated by a wall for legal purposes. So we brew it here, we ferment it here, and then we have a pipe that goes through a wall to our DSP, distilled spirits plant, where then we turn it from distiller's beer into whiskey.
So what you're saying is the distillery section is just on the other side of that wall?
Yep, right through there.
All right, well, I'm gonna let you get back to work and I'm gonna go check that out.
All right,
Todd,
enjoy.
It was a pleasure, thanks. So now we're on the other side of the wall, on the distillery side of things. And for those of you who may know about brews and breweries, this mad scientist steampunk laboratory behind me is what a distillery looks like. And so Randy's back with us again to kind of explain this process and what's going on back here.
So what we have here is a 1,000-liter copper pot still. It's a hybrid system where we have a copper pot, we have a 4-plate rectifying column, and a condensing column. So your fans are familiar with brewing. We make all of our wash in the brewery, and then we transport that beer over to the distillery, and then we make the spirits here in the brewery. So the last part of the process is once it's gone from the pot through the rectifying column into the condensing column, what we'll do is we'll collect it in a collection tank, and depends on how many batches we're making, we can either bottle them right away or we can collect them and blend them. But if we're gonna make bourbon or some sort of whiskey that goes into an oak barrel, what we'll do is we'll collect that, and then rather than putting it in a bottle, we'll take it over and we'll put it in the barrel storage room.
Which is right over here.
Absolutely.
And so can we go check that out?
Certainly, let's go.
After you.
Well, as discussed, this is the barrel room. This is where we take the product from the distillery processing area and we put it into the barrels and it starts aging here.
Yeah, you have quite the variety. I see everything has a different marking on it, so you have several different things aging all at once.
Correct. So the first thing we made and put in barrels was our single malt whiskey, which we have an unaged version. Then we made bourbon, and now we have a couple of new recipes, or actually formulas that we've had approved. A beer that was our stout beer. We distilled that. We're going to try to get that labeled as a stout whiskey. And then we have an IPA that we've also distilled and we're putting in barrels.
But as far as things that are unaged goes, these are the barrels. But anybody can come in here and taste the unaged stuff because it goes right upstairs to a tasting room, right?
Yeah, so we have a vodka, a gin, and the unaged single malt whiskey for sale.
Tell me about the tasting room. What's going on up there?
So the one thing about having the brewery and the distillery allows us to apply and get approved to have our own ABC store. So we have a distillery tasting room upstairs where we can come up and clients can come in, they can sample our products. You're limited in what you can do. You can only do one tasting per person per day in the state of Virginia. So currently what we have is if you come in for $12, you get 3 samples, 1/2 ounce each of our vodka, gin, single malt whiskey, and a cocktail. So we do signature cocktails in the tasting room. They're not available at the bar, but what we can do is make a unique cocktail. Usually it runs about 2 or 3 days, and then we'll switch that out and make something new.
Very cool. And then if interested, you can actually make a bottle purchase there.
Yes, so being an ABC store, you can buy right off and take off premises. Okay.
So I hear we got something pretty special in here. Tell me about that.
Well, that's our first batch of single malt whiskey that we barreled in March. So this is, 8 months old. We're going to keep that in the barrel until it's about a year old. So if you're interested, maybe you want to try it.
Yeah, let's make it a party. I mean,
all right.
So how do we do this?
Well, it's a process. You got to help me. You willing to help?
I'm totally willing to help.
All right. So fortunately, we have glasses right here.
How utterly convenient.
All right. So I'm going to take these nails out. What we'll do, we don't want to do this very often, but considering it's a special event, we'll take this out.
All right, so now you're pulling out the top for the
let
vacuum.
The air, let the hear the air.
And
So if
probably
you will
wanna
hold
be
that
under
glass
here.
right there. Oh, there we go, right there. Well, depends on how thirsty you are.
Yeah.
All right, look at that. All right.
Oh wow, so that's already got a little bit of color to it. Because a lot of people may not know that when you first make bourbon or whiskey or anything like that, it actually comes out clear. And how does it get its color?
So it comes off the still, it's clear ethanol, and we put it in the barrel, and it starts, from the minute it goes in the barrel, it starts taking on those characteristics. Depending upon the char level of the barrel, it'll influence how fast it changes color. It's still pretty light. That's one of the reasons we're going to leave it in there a little bit longer. But if you notice, you can already start picking up the nice floral characteristics of the barrel.
Wow, yeah, that smells amazing. If you don't mind, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
absolutely. That's the best way to do it.
We can delay this all we want, but it's eventually going to happen. Now that is smooth.
I'm glad you like it. It's been there for about 8 months. It'll just continue to mellow out a little bit and get smoother as time goes on. And plus, you're drinking it at 123 proof, so it'll even be smoother when it's proofed down to 90.
Even with that, though, there's no bite to it, so I can only imagine if this is at 8 months, what it's going to be eventually. Wow.
Yeah.
So this is really good, and we might have to try a little more. But I actually hear a sound check going on, so there's going to be some live music happening. We're going to get into that, but I think for right now, let's take a little break and maybe one more sample.
Maybe I can try some next.
It is yours, and again,
right,
we probably should have talked about that beforehand.
We'll do another.
You're just super giddy.
We'll do another
Like,
one. We'll do another one.
The Vanguard is Virginia's first co-located brew pub and distillery. We're also a great music venue, and we have a full restaurant, full bar. My name is Amelia Emmer. I am the general manager here at the Vanguard. I cover everything from private parties to musical contracts and everything in between. We have a lot of different places to go in the Vanguard. We have our full restaurant, which has a full bar. We have wine, liquor. We also carry our own Cashel spirits, which is great. So if you can't visit our distillery tasting room, which is open about 6 days a week, where we do a private tasting and a cocktail for $12, you can have them at the bar. We also have private event spaces. So we have upstairs, which is our kind of beer hall style dining. And then we also have private spaces, which we've had everything from wedding receptions to corporate events and everything in between. Typically, we have music about 3 to 4 nights a week. We typically pepper in trivia or Monday Night Football. Sundays, we have tango and bachata. We have a lot of dance classes and yoga. But the other nights of the week, we either have local acts, which are more acoustic, a little bit more chill, and then party bands and national acts on the weekends.
One of the unique things about this building that really attracted me to it was the large open space and the fact that it actually had a theatrical style stage on the south end of the building. The size of the building allowed us to have a capacity in excess of 1,000. We currently can have 1,160 person occupancy during an event. We can sell about 1,100 tickets for a show. We've had 6 or 7 national touring acts come through.
All ages are welcome always. We're a family-friendly restaurant, so we allow 21 and under as well as over. Depending on the show, the demographic changes. We had the Bodines in, and that was kind of, parents would bring in their kids, but we also have Saliva tonight, which is going to be a little bit more of a rowdy crowd, but we still allow young kids because, it's never too young to get a musical education. So the Vanguard, having been a music venue in the beginning, acts such as Otis Redding played here, Clarence Clemens played here, the stage was already built. We kind of built it out and made it modernized. So we obviously brought in really advanced equipment. We wanted to be plug and play for not only local acts, but national acts as well.
We took the existing stage, extended it out from the original front about 4.5 feet and widened it so that the bands could come out and be more into this space with the public. And then, surprisingly, there was a vault down below, and we turned that into a green room. So in addition to being a brew pub and distillery, we have the stage, we have the green room, we have an ability to, if touring acts are coming through in a bus, we can keep them right here on site. We have an RV hookup, power, they can stay right on site. Really nice setup for traveling acts. So any bands looking to book in the 600 to 1,000 plus type venue, we're good.
We really are proud of the work that we've done to make the acoustics really good in the building. We've spent a lot of time making sure that bands are happy with the sound, and so far we've had nothing but good reviews from everyone that's played here.
One of the things that we did to make this a little bit more intimate venue is we brought the front of the mezzanine, the second floor extension, up to about 40 feet from the stage. So when you come into most music venues, they're typically long and you have a stage at the back. Ours is a little bit different in the sense that the stage is right in the center of the building and the mezzanine comes up very close to the stage. It's about 70 feet wide in front of the stage. The mezzanine is about 40 feet wide, so people can get up to the front of the mezzanine and have a real good view of the acts that are playing there.
Obviously, the best view in the house is right in front of the stage, but if you can't get there, you can also do from our mezzanine or our beer hall level, where you can oversee from the balcony, which I think is personally my favorite spot, because you get a really great view of the band and the stage as well. It's really unique. The drink rail around the entire bar was custom done by carpenters, and it's a really awesome spot to kind of sit your beer and enjoy the show.
So after some great live music, there's nothing quite like a good cigar to bring the evening to a close. And guess what? They have that here too. Tell us about the cigar room we got here.
Well, if you notice, it's not that large, but it is cozy. We decided that the best thing that we could do here is to give somebody the full experience. If you're coming in for a tasting, you can stay outside the cigar room, have your cocktails there in the DSP tasting room, or if you want, you can come in here, order your sample, bring your cigar, or buy one of ours. We have a small selection, usually less than 100 cigars in-house. Purchase one of those, sit down, make your order, have a cigar, and enjoy yourself.
All of this under one roof. I mean, a brewery, a distillery, great food, and a national level music venue. I mean, it's outstanding.
Well, that was our goal, to be 757's artisanal venue. The food, the craft spirits, the beer, the entertainment, everything. We wanted to provide the finest quality we could and give that to you in one full experience. So you can come here and spend the day and enjoy yourself. You can come for dinner, you can come for beer, whatever you want to do, I think we've got you covered.
To have it all in one place, I've never seen anything quite like it, and I have to applaud you and cheers you on that, because this has been quite an experience.
Thank you.
Well, that about does it for this episode. Make sure you join us next time on Untapped, where it's no longer just about craft beer, it's a lifestyle.